Hey there, fellow hunting enthusiasts. This week on the show, we're heading back home to hunt with family and good friends. Now look, I'm only up in Maryland for a couple days. This doe's all by herself. She's getting shot. And we're up in a tree like almost with a southern accent, kind of arrogant, like, I can smoke in here if I want to. Now you're not going to see a whole lot of fancy camera work on the show this week, because mostly it's just me and my kids filming each other. In fact, this might be the only show in Red Arrow's history where more deer died than we actually wanted to. EHD can really mess things up, and there is no doubt after finding all these dead deer that it's hit us pretty good in this area. It's the last day of the season, and I'm taking Addie to the best place that I know of, and that's at Dad's house on those food plots.
She smacked into that tree.
Either way, this week is all about family, friends, and the outdoors. That's got a nice ring to it. Somebody ought to patent that. It's like a saying or something.
Well, I'm mean as gravel, I'm poor as dirt, and I like things better the way they were. Well, I'm strong in the head, but I get things done. I spend too much money to have a little fun. Come on. I ain't changing, I'm a stubborn man. So can you love me like I am? Can you love me, baby, like I am? Yeah.
This week on the show, as our nation unfortunately spirals rapidly towards socialism because of a self-serving, corrupt government and a generation of people completely devoid of any kind of historical knowledge or even a firm grasp on reality, we find ourselves going bow hunting in Maryland and Virginia. Right in between Maryland and Virginia sits our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., home of our current Commander-in-Chief, President Joe Biden, who recently won, completely fair and square, won an election to become our nation's 46th president.
We did it, Joe. You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
Okay, hang on. Sorry.
But no matter how he got there, him and all his handlers are in D.C. right now doing their very, very best to protect you from yourself if necessary, by doing things like taking away the Second Amendment if we let them, and freedom of speech, opening up the borders, to protect you. I don't want to go on and on with this political stuff. I just want y'all to know that there are other freedom-loving Americans that have your back, and we're not going to stand for our country being destroyed. So with that in mind, let's go bow hunting and have a good time. One of the big advantages I feel like we have up here in Maryland is A, we can put out supplemental feed. B, there's a lot of water around, so it kind of collects the deer in these little pockets between the streams and the rivers, and there's tons of agriculture, so you're pumping all this nutrients into these deer. They've got plenty of cover, they've got good hardwoods, so there's a lot of things that play into your advantage up in Maryland. Now, if you've watched the show for any length of time, you guys know who Chad is. Chad has killed a lot of big bucks up here in southern Maryland, and we're excited every year to go back and try to duplicate what happened to us last year. Chad and I put out some Spartan trail cameras, and we got a picture of a freak deer coming in, and I was fortunate enough to go up there and get to hunt this deer. Give me a hug, man. I appreciate you. That's an unbelievable deer, man.
Awesome buck.
What a privilege, what an opportunity, man. What a blessing from God, really. Y'all have to understand this deer is special for a whole lot of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is Maryland is one of my all-time favorite places to bow hunt, and me and Chad are OG bow hunting buddies. After killing a deer like I did last year, it's easy to get excited about going back to hunt the same spot. But the problem with this year is we have not been seeing that many good bucks like we were last year. I killed that one nice deer, and then the deer that we had been seeing are just not showing up on cameras. We're starting to get a little bit worried, especially when Chad started finding dead deer in the creek. Now, this can mean a couple different things, but most likely what it is EHD. We're really crossing our fingers and hoping that the EHD is not too bad. We definitely have found some cases in the area, but we're hoping it's not too bad and we can still get some good deer killed on this trip. Chad's got 3 little brothers that also hunt this property, Dominic, Dylan, and Dustin. And we're going to be hunting this week with Dylan. He's hunting the other side of the property. We're still going out trying to kill a buck, but it's kind of looking like we might be sort of fighting over the same deer. It's just what tree stand is he going to walk by first. There's one really good deer in particular that Dylan's been hunting, and he's got first dibs on that. Obviously, he's been hunting him, and he's had his eye on this deer for a while, so Dylan gets the first pick on the tree stand that evening. And I'm just, honestly, y'all know me, I'm just as happy when somebody else kills one as when I kill one myself. I really hope that one of us kills a good buck tonight. For the evening hunt, we're going to pack our Summit Climbers way into the back of the property. There's a big ridge line that has a lot of deer traffic coming through it. It's just a big block of hardwoods. We're set up along a creek. There's a big mountain laurel thicket. It's a really good place for just a giant deer to show up out of nowhere, to be honest. And we know for a fact there's plenty of does walking through this area.
It's been pouring down rain for the last couple days, but sun's out, wind's blowing pretty good. Seems to be fairly consistent. It's swirling a little bit, but every now and then. But you know, white-tailed deer hunting's pretty simple, so I'm not going to sit here and explain to you exactly what we're going to do. We're sitting in a tree. We hope the deer don't see us or smell us, and we hope they walk within my effective archery range so that I can put an arrow through one of them's lungs and consume its dead flesh. It's pretty simple. Deer hunting's pretty simple.
We hadn't seen anything. I hadn't even heard a twig break, and a deer is coming to our tree stand. Now look, I'm only up in Maryland for a couple days. This doe's all by herself. She's getting shot.
Looks like a doe. Oh man, she's right in our wind. She's gonna bust us. She's just right in our wind. She goes behind that tree, I'm gonna draw.
This doe walks out under the tree stand. She's fixing to get in our wind, and I stop her.
Meh.
I think my meh was too aggressive. Meh, like, hey. She's like, what? You know, maybe I should have been like, meh.
Meh.
You really thought about that? Like, deer make such a, you know, like, and we're up in a tree like, meh, like almost with a southern accent, kind of arrogant, like, I can smoke in here if I want to, meh, you know, whatever. Like, sort of like, that's the feel of it. That's sort of what happened in this deer hunt. It was just like that.
That's gonna be the perfect test of that broadhead, because I wanted to see how tough and durable they were, so I stopped that doe right there, right under us, quartering to me a little bit.
We brought the footage of the doe back to the house and looked at it, and after reviewing the footage, we knew right away that this doe was as dead as a deep-fried doornail. She was not going anywhere, but the problem was going to be finding the blood trail. So we decided, instead of fumbling around in the dark, we would just go back there first thing in the morning. It was supposed to be cool that night, so we should be all right.
All right. Eddie, let that be a lesson to you on how important blood trails are. Where is she?
There.
Oh, yeah.
We literally just came from the way that you came. I was trying to avoid blueberry bushes.
Yeah,
so we were trying to like come around and go this way.
Yeah.
And we stepped over the log and I just happened to look left.
There she is.
Look at it, man. We'll find out what happened.
The thing about it is the reason that I decided to wait for you and come back today is high into the shoulder, no exit. Fumbling around with flashlights on no blood trail is not the thing to do.
This stuff?
It's actually a miracle y'all found her.
So far, so good, Maryland. At least we got some backstraps. I might have drawn first blood, but Dylan looks like he's about to have a real good night. So this smaller buck feeds into the Antler King, and behind him, here comes this buck that Dylan's been looking for. From the way the video looked, I'm guessing single lung liver. At worst, you got liver. This is the kind of hit where you want to leave that deer a good 5 hours, or just leave him overnight if you can.
Oh man, I hope he's dead.
I know Dylan didn't sleep too good that night. We got up the next day and we were bound and determined we were going to find this deer.
It's the scene of the crime, so they're going to show it to us. I reckon we'll go find this deer. There's a granddaddy long leg.
As we're following the blood trail, it starts to run out a little bit. And this is when you really got to get dedicated, man. If you've got blood, you have an obligation to that deer to keep following it until you completely run out of blood. A lot of guys, when the blood trail gets thin, they get frustrated and start stomping all over the woods, and we'll just do a couple circles. As long as you've got blood, do everything you possibly can to stay on that blood. We stayed on those little pin drops of blood, and that at least gave us a direction as to what part of the bedding area this deer was heading for.
At least we got a good direction going into here, because you could walk your butt off over there for no reason.
Here, wait, let me go up. I'm gonna go up through here. You walk up through the... Dylan! Hey, Dylan! Yeah. Right here he is, man. Yes, sir.
Where is?
Right here.
My God.
He didn't go. He didn't go that far, really.
Yo, got him.
Good job, brother.
Thanks,
nice
man.
job.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's him. That's old Big Brows. That's that 10 point. Dude.
Oh man.
Look at that deer, brother. Good job. You got a little scoop on yourself.
Yeah, boy. Oh,
what'd you think, man? That's a good deer, huh?
Way to go, dude.
All right, so.
Hattie? Give me some. All right. Oh, man. Hey, you picked a heck of a common place to die. Yeah.
You got the back lobe of the entry lung and then liver.
Yep.
He didn't have a chance, but it's just that high wound ain't gonna bleed.
We had a great time during the Maryland early season, and we're heading back down to Virginia now to take the kids hunting and do a little bit of bow hunting in the backyard. You know, over the years, I've really seen the hunting turn around from being just a couple of small scrub bucks, if you were lucky on the property, to some really nice record book deer. I mean, we have grown some big deer and held a lot of deer on just a couple of small pieces of property. The only thing we've done different over the years is implementing our Antler King food plots pretty much year-round, and then because of the way Virginia's laws are, we're only able to do the supplemental feeding in the off-season. It has made a tremendous difference on a couple pieces of property that most people would overlook doing any kind of food plotting on because it's just not that much land. We've shot just about everything on these little pieces of property of mine, and I even shot a big 300-pound black bear last year. And 2 years ago, I killed my biggest Virginia buck right near where I plant an Antler King food plot every year.
This deer means a lot to me, man, and I was out there yesterday. But just, you know, I have a reverence and a respect for this particular animal, and all deer really, but me and him have a history together. And after I shot him, man, I just went up and kind of sat down beside him and just thanked the good Lord really that I was able to kill him, because it was a meant to be kind of thing.
It rained a lot off and on late summer when I was trying to get my food plots in for the fall, so before I get on the road every year, it's always a challenge to try to find time to get on the tractor and put in my food plots. So this year the weather really screwed us up and I wasn't able to get in 100% of what I usually do, but one thing I was able to do was go on the new piece of property where I killed the bear last year. My man Robbie from Antler King came down and helped me put in these satellite kill plots. And another thing that we're trying this year, my dad's got a little 12 acres, 15 acres, something like that, and we're going to put in about 4 acres of food plot on his place, a place that we really never hardly deer hunt, and just see what happens. So about the time this year that we started noticing we just weren't seeing the numbers of deer, on the property is when we started walking and finding deer dead in the creeks and in the ponds. EHD can really mess things up, and there is no doubt after finding all these dead deer that it's hit us pretty good in this area. We started off just finding little stuff like that. We found a couple of bucks about the size of this one right here. This one's really gonna hurt your feelings right here. I know it hurt mine. I found this down in the creek right behind my house. That's a fine deer right there. That's a heck of an 8-point right there, boys. We might have been having some bad luck on my property, but one property that I was really itching to get over to was Dad's property. We've been over there a couple times, and these food plots that we planted are absolutely smoking. I stayed on the road a good portion of the rest of the year off and on. We would come home and hunt here and there, and it was always kind of slow. We hunted Dad's a couple times and saw a few deer, never shot anything, but now it's the last day of the season, and I'm taking Addie to the best place that I know of in our town, and that's at Dad's house on those food plots. At this point, it's late season in Virginia, and me and Addie, my oldest daughter, are going to bust out the Red Arrow Weapons 300 Blackout. I knew we were going to get a shot at something, right? I mean, I hope so at this point. Finally, we see some deer start trickling out, and when you've had a hunting season like we had in Virginia this year, man, I'm up there shaking. I don't care if it's a button buck fawn. I'm like, yep, kill it. I told Addie when this big doe came out, she had the green light anytime she wanted to drop the hammer. Addie absolutely annihilates this deer's heart with the 300 Blackout, and it goes about 25 yards and slams into a tree.
Oh my gosh, she smacked into that tree, see? Nice job. Dang.
This is my all-time favorite gun for taking youth hunters. It's got a 10.5-inch barrel. I put a suppressor on it so it's quiet. It has virtually no recoil, and it absolutely thumps the deer.
They've been eating in here. They're actually just figuring out how to eat them. Seems like late season is really good. Good shot. That's why it's only young,
And for the Campbell family, it's the first deer in Virginia.
yeah, anybody's good. It's been a rough season this year.
Well, boys and girls, that's going to about do it for Virginia and Maryland this week. We fought through some adversity. We had to battle EHD a little bit in both states, but you know what? We stuck with it. We got some backstraps in the freezer, and we did get a nice buck killed on video. So we're going to keep doing it year after year because there's nothing like a hometown hunt, man. Whether you're hunting a squirrel, a rabbit, or a big old buck, it doesn't matter, man. That's where I want to be. It's hunting with my friends and family back home in Virginia and my good friends up in Maryland. So you're going to see it every year, and hopefully we keep these Antler King food plots in the ground, and if the EHD slacks off of us next year, we're going to draw in those big bucks.